Looking for a few new ways to enjoy your tofu blocks, maybe in some Japanese dishes? Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about 5, maybe even a couple more than that, ways that you can enjoy your tofu in a few simple and tasty Japanese style dishes. If you're new here, my name is Pat Tokuyama. I'm the creator of the Japanese Cooking Club, where I help people learn how to make plant-based Japanese food, as well as All Day I Eat Like a Shark, this YouTube channel. And if you want to see more plant-based Japanese cooking videos, kind of like this one and more, subscribe if you haven't already, and say hello in the comments if this is your first time here. Oftentimes, simple ingredients get overlooked by fill in the blank here. Maybe food covered in gold leaf, maybe something like a foie gras flambe, crepe Suzette flambe, maybe a sushi deluxe dinner, or fill in the blank here with whatever fancy food or ingredient you would love to eat and enjoy. Well, as an advocate for plant-based Japanese food and cooking, tofu is one of my favorite ingredients to use. And it's one of the many plant-based foods that can help you stay full and satisfied and be used in a variety of different ways, making it extremely versatile. And did you know it's also a complete protein with many vitamins and minerals, as well as dietary fiber, which is important for certain things like going unchi. And if you're having trouble going unchi, you might want to try eating a few more plant-based foods, especially vegetables, because those are going to be your main sources of dietary fiber, which will be very effective in helping you go unchi successfully. Tofu is one of those things that has actually helped me transition away from the standard American diet, also known as the SAD diet. If you've never heard that one before, it might be worth looking into. And the reason being, it's very, very useful in a variety of different dishes. And we're going to be talking about 5 of my favorite Japanese tofu dishes that are cold. So cold tofu dishes that are going to be perfect for the warm summer weather that is just around the corner. And if you're watching this in the off season, you can enjoy it in maybe a sauna or with a heater on as well. Equally effective, I think, but I'm just kidding. I don't know if you'd really want to enjoy your cold tofu with a heater on, but I suppose that could work if you really turn up the heat. So tofu is one of those things that I actually eat and cook on a regular basis. Sometimes I make it too. And if you haven't tried making it, maybe you'd be interested in my tofu workshop, where I teach you how to make Japanese style tofu, as well as using the okara, and I think that was it. Yeah, okara and homemade tofu. So if you're interested in learning how to make tofu from scratch, Japanese style, check out the link below in the description for the tofu workshop. So if you've ever spent time traveling in Japan, you know that one of the things that is pretty obvious there in terms of the restaurant or the food scene is that there's a lot of specialized restaurants, meaning that these restaurants only serve really one type of dish. An example is the tofu restaurants, like I mentioned. There's also, of course, typical sushi bar, which serves nothing but sushi. Maybe things like unagi, which those restaurants serve nothing but unagi. Yakitori shops, which serves nothing but yakitori, and so on. So because these shops are specialized, obviously they're going to be serving really good food, and some of these shops are pretty old, maybe a few hundred years old, way older than us, and at least way older than us, right? So they've been in business for a while because they're good at what they do, and they've passed on the tradition through generations. So definitely worth looking into for your next trip. These types of restaurants are called shinise in Japanese, which means it's a very old shop. Without further ado, here's 5 delicious ways for you to enjoy your cold tofu this summer. Are you excited? Tanoshimi ni shiten no ka? First dish is going to be hiyayako, which is cold tofu, and there's a variety of different ways that you can enjoy this. And we're just going to be talking about some of the simplest, which is just going to be with a little bit of shoyu, soy sauce, some freshly grated ginger, and some freshly grated wasabi, and maybe some shoyu. Maybe some shimi, which is a 7-flavored pepper. That's probably one of the most classic ways that you can enjoy hiyayako. Some of my other favorites are with a little bit of salt, a little bit of sesame oil, as well as some freshly chopped green onion. Negi shio is what that's called. You can take that up a step further in terms of the complexity and the flavor profile by using shiokoji, which, if you have never heard of before, it's fermented rice grains that have been salted and then fermented, and it has a very nice flavor when it's added to any kind of food, really. It's going to enhance the flavor of the dish. So for this particular dish, it's going to be the tofu, and it's very delicious. So the second way that you can actually enjoy your tofu cold is going to be in a salad. So there's many different ways that you can enjoy it in a salad. You can just enjoy it straight. Make sure to consider draining the excess water out of your tofu or pressing it using a tofu press. You can also marinate it in kombu dashi, like we have talked about in one of my previous videos, linked in the description below as well. Or you can just throw it on your salad as a way to really bring up the nutritional value, and so that you get a little bit more protein and your salad is a little bit more filling, because usually if it's just going to be leaves without any kind of protein, you're probably going to get hungry after eating it. And you can take the salad idea or the notion a little step further, one more step further, and use it for something like shirai, which is usually blanched vegetables that have been mixed with a mashed up tofu that has been seasoned with shoyu, soy sauce, or dashi, as well as other ingredients, and makes for a very, very refreshing side dish, or okazu. And on top of that, what you can also do is use your tofu in a dressing. So if you've never pureed your tofu, makes a great dressing, as well as a plant-based or tofu mayonnaise. If you've never tried that, that's another one worth considering. But tofu in dressing is a good way to thicken up a dressing, add some texture, some body, as well as a gentle umami/creamy texture. And the way that you get a really creamy texture is if you process it. Even better, put it in a Vitamix that's super creamy and super smooth, and nothing quite like it. So the third way is going to be in a soup. You know, these are called one of the most popular soups in Japan is potajou or potage. I don't know, I don't really speak French, so I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. So if somebody speaks French, by all means correct me. But potajou is one of my favorite ways to enjoy tofu in soup. Depending on what you're putting into the soup, you know, you can use like potatoes, you can put kabocha, or maybe even like edamame or mushrooms, rice, onions. There's a lot of different things that you can throw in there, carrots, and tofu is a great way to thicken it up, add some body, add a little bit of slight sweetness, especially if you're going to be using homemade tofu. And another way that you can do it, cold soups. So the fourth way is going to be in your noodles, something like maybe cold spaghetti or cold pasta salad. And you can actually put it also on soba, maybe as a topping, maybe with a little bit of daikon radish, maybe some daikon radish sprouts or nori, and goes great with cold soba noodles. Or you can also cut it up into little pieces and marinate it, or cook it, lightly pan fry it on the stove with a little bit of sesame oil. Roll it up in sushi with some shiso leaves and or some kimchi for sort of a fusion sushi roll, or temaki sushi, which is really delicious, by the way. And then the fifth way is going to be two of my favorites for satisfying my sweet tooth. So I am very, very fond of sweet things. Amato is the word in Japanese, which means you have a sweet tooth. And some of my favorite ways to enjoy tofu in the sweet side of things is going to be one in pudding. Mitarashi tofu pudding is one of my favorite Japanese style puddings, and it's basically a soy sauce sweetened dessert. So if you didn't know, soy sauce is actually used in a variety of different sweets. Mitarashi dango is another one. Basically those little round balls that have a soy sauce, a sweetened soy sauce glaze on it. Very delicious. And this is going to be the pudding version, made with tofu, of course. Other way is going to be in tofu cheesecake. So tofu cheesecake, if you've never tried that before, actually might take you a few times to get the combination right in terms of the ratios of the ingredients used. Took me a few times at least. And it's quite amazing. And it's probably one of the best cheesecakes I've ever had, because it's a little bit on the lighter side, but it's just as creamy, just as rich, and just as dense as a normal cheesecake. But Japanese style cheesecake is one of my favorites, especially when it's made with tofu and topped with a delicious glaze like matcha mitsu, kuromitsu, or maybe even like a yuzu based glaze. Very tasty. Oishiso. So sometimes I feel like cold food on a hot day, sometimes I feel like cold food on a cold day. And I don't really know why that is. I don't know if that's weird. Maybe you guys feel the same every now and then. And I know that in California we have different seasons, but maybe for certain people wherever you live, maybe it's hot all year round if you're close to the equator, for example, or if you're further away, maybe it's cold year round and you don't really have that experience, so you're kind of out of luck there. And I don't really know why I'm talking about that, but here in California, that's one of my dilemmas. Actually, it's not really a dilemma. I usually just eat what I feel like eating for the most part, unless I've planned out my meals ahead of time to be healthy, on the healthier side, which we may be talking about in a future video. So sometimes I feel like cold food on a hot day, sometimes I feel like cold food on a cold day. And hopefully one of these 5 or 7 or 8, 9 ideas for you enjoying your tofu Japanese style is one that you'll give a try if you haven't already. And if I missed anything, feel free to share your favorites in the comments below this video, like right now, because I'd be curious to see what you guys are doing with tofu Japanese style and cold, tsumetai tofu. And if you are inspired by this video, I'm curious which dish you'll be trying first. And maybe next time we'll be talking about how to enjoy tofu the hot way. Atsu no uchi dozo. That means try to enjoy it while it's hot. Atsui. And if you'd like to see more plant-based Japanese cooking videos like this one, subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and leave a comment or any questions below, any feedback, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Kyotsukete ne. And I think my light went out. So if you want something light and fluffy, like a traditional fluffy or souffle style cheesecake, this is going to be a little bit more of on the denser side. I don't think you can really get a fluffy texture on the cheesecake, and I don't know why we're talking about this, but we are.